Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. I'm very excited to have you here this morning to talk about our National Caregiver Recruitment Benchmark Report on Q4 of last year. And just really looking forward to digging into the data with you guys and sharing basically the TLDR. Um, it's a 33-page report. And so studying every single page, that'll take you a little while. So what we've done for this webinar is we've pulled out basically the highlights. If you don't read anything else about the report, here's the kind of top things to know, in our opinion. But there's a ton of good data in there, so definitely check it out at your convenience. I'm going to give everybody just like one more minute to get logged in. I see a lot of people still entering the room, so I'm just going to let you all file in, grab your coffee, grab your water, or whatever you're drinking. Um, and then we will get started very soon here. Okay. If you just arrived in the room, looks like a lot of people have filed in now. So if you just arrived in the room, I am super excited to share today with you our report recap on the Q4 2025 Augusta National Caregiver Recruitment Benchmark Report. So as if you just joined, what I was saying before is that this is your TLDR on the whole report. Too long, didn't read the entire 33-page thing, but this is going to be a recap to get the highlights and hopefully give you some really valuable data to go out in your business and make better and better decisions about how you can improve. Um, so yeah, very excited to have you here and joining us. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of jump in. Oh my goodness, you've all been on a Zoom webinar in the last 7 years, and so you probably know this, but there is a Q&A button down at the bottom of the screen. Please chat in your questions, and we'll answer them as we go along. Definitely, this is super. Would love for this to be interactive, and so please do definitely write in your questions in that Q&A bar down at the bottom of the screen. And yes, we are recording this, and the recording is going to be available on our website after this presentation, probably this week sometime. And we will, if you registered for this event, we'll also email it to you as well. All right. So if we don't know each other, my name is Jen Waldron. I'm one of three co-founders of Augusta. I am very fortunate today to have our CEO and my co-founder Yvonne with us as well. I'll just give you a quick little background on me, and it kind of leads into how Yvonne and I met each other. Um, I started in this industry as a caregiver. That was in 2009. I worked in a memory care community and really fell in love with caring for vulnerable people and the industry. And I also saw, and I personally experienced pulling a double and how painful that is for the company, the patients, the residents rather, the family, like everybody involved in the whole ecosystem. It ends up being just really hard and leads to a lot of burnout. And so it's one of the things that's made me so passionate about working in senior care and particularly home care. And since then, my entire career trajectory has been all only in senior care related businesses. So it's kind of been very deep driver for me in the work that we're doing. And As my prior to starting to co-founding this company with Yvonne, he and I actually met when we were helping to build Care Academy together alongside Helen Adioson, their CEO. So, Yvonne, do you want to give a little bit of a background on yourself?
Well, thank you so much for being here. We're so happy to learn from you as much as us sharing our learnings. And I've been in senior care for almost 9 years now, and it's been fascinating, and there's always more to learn. And I'm happy to be here today.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Yvonne. All right. So let's actually, one more thing before I get into the agenda. Speaking of learning about you guys, and everybody who's on the call, I have a three-question poll that will take you less than like 2 minutes to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and launch that just so that way I have a good sense of kind of who's on the call today and why you guys are here, and maybe we can incorporate some of that into the conversation. So just three questions. I just launched a poll. You should see it on your screen. How many caregivers do you have on your team? Basically, how many employees are in your company? And then what made you decide to join this webinar? And what's your top recruiting challenge that you're experiencing or have experienced? So just three questions. If you wouldn't mind, I would love to learn about who's on the call here. And I'll share the results after you guys participate. I'm pretty sure it's anonymous. So yeah. So I'll just give you a couple minutes here. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating. See a lot of people entering information. Okay, I'm just going to give you guys one more minute. It looks like we've got about 40%. Oh, it's actually creeping up. I'm going to give you two more. I'm going to give you a full another minute because the looks like more and more people are participating. So, um, just three questions. How many employees do you have? What made you want to sign up for this? And what's your top recruiting challenge? Okay. Looks like the number of participants is kind of crested from what I'm seeing. So I am give everyone 1 second to finish up, and then I'm gonna end the poll. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close out the poll now. It looks like most people, there was a surge in the poll, and now it's over. So, all right, ending the poll here, and let's see. Okay, so share the results here. Hopefully you guys can see that on your screens now. So it looks like we've got a little bit of a range of different sizes of teams that's here participating today. So looks like a lot of companies with between 100 and 250 employees and 100 and basically between 250 and 25 employees. Looks like the size of the companies that we're talking about today. And okay, so I'm going to pause my screen share because I didn't realize, and I hope it's okay. I didn't realize it was going to be all the free-form answers would have everybody's contact or email addresses on them. So I just paused my screen share and stop the poll so that way I can just read through a couple of these and share them. So it looks like there's a couple people in here who say they're already customers and want to get more out of like the information that we're sharing and making sure that they're using everything that we offer, basically. Some people are just looking forward to stats, more knowledge to be successful, um, always looking for ways to improve hiring and improve recruiting. Yeah, that's the keeping ahead of the competition, um, and looking into a pilot with Augusta. And let's see, we got a lot of different ones here. Better hiring insights, um, understanding ways to bring in applicants. Recruiting is always a challenge, so we want to know, can Augusta help? And yeah, a lot of people looking for data, looking for effective sources beyond Indeed. I hear you. And yeah, so basically just better understanding of kind of like the market, I guess, is what I would say, and like how Augusta can help specifically. So that's super helpful. And then when on the final question of, I'm going to share my screen again. The final question, what's your top caregiver recruiting challenge? Looks like too many low quality applicants is the leader by far. And then after that, not enough applicants. And then we got a bunch of other answers, which unfortunately the poll doesn't let me drill down into right now. So I'm going to have to look at that later. But this was super helpful. Thank you so much for just giving me a little bit of an idea about what is bringing you here and kind of what your top recruiting challenges are. So it's interesting to see 44% of people said too many low quality applicants. So, okay, I am going to go ahead and jump into our agenda. Like I said, if you actually make my screen hopefully bigger, there we go. Um, so Um, eh, when I first opened up the webinar, I mentioned this is basically kind of going to be your TLDR. So it's a 33-page report. It's dense, right? We got a lot of information to share. So what we're going to do in this webinar today is basically go through our key findings. Best conversion sources. So applicants by source and then hires by source. How fast do you need to interview? And what is the best format to interview in? Um, what's the best time of day and day of the week to interview? How does applicant location affect your hiring and recruiting? What is the experience level of the applicants actually in the market right now for caregiving positions? And what benefits that caregivers want versus what's being offered to them or advertised to them at very least. So that's what's on the agenda to cover in terms of our key findings. And now I want to talk, if you're not super familiar with Augusta, I want to go into just basically a little bit about how Augusta works and what we do. So that way you know how all this data was collected and thus can trust it. And ask questions if you want clarification. So Augusta is a platform that we've built from scratch for home care agencies to recruit caregivers. So first off, we don't work with any other type of business or do anything else with our lives, is what I like to joke, but it's true. So we only help caregivers get jobs with home care agencies, and home care agencies identify the right people to hire, basically. So it's a software platform. And then if you're a customer of ours, you probably already know that we have an amazing support team who actually does regular coaching and training webinars with our customers as well. So it's not just the software, it's a strategy, basically. It's a whole behavioral approach with software as well to recruiting the top caregivers for your business. The software itself attracts, identifies, and then helps you interview the top applicants that you can actually match with caregivers. The way that we are able to identify the top caregivers for your business is through what we call our Augusta Smart application. So it's a basically a tool that where the applicant, they from their perspective, they feel like they're just applying to the job that they found, but it's actually quite a different experience for them than a traditional job application. It's actually becomes personalized to the applicant as they use it. So it'll give them important information that they wouldn't have gotten normally because we think, unfortunately, today most applicants don't actually read the job description. So the smart application basically encourages the your applicants to complete the entire process and the design by which we do it and everything, all the supporting stuff. The smart application basically gets 96% of applicants who start it to complete the entire 20 question data set. So it means that we're probably one of the few companies out there in the entire home care industry. Just not bragging. I just think that that there isn't another one that's doing this. Is that we're getting a near standardized data set on hundreds of thousands of people. So far, we've had more a million people, almost a million people through the Augusta Smart application. So it's a super, super consistent way to basically collect enough information from each applicant for us to be able to identify your top 30%. Um, so that's what the smart application is and how we're collecting all the information from applicants that we're sharing in the report. So then on the management side, there's a whole section of the report that's just on HR and hiring data. And that is basically collected by two main processes. The first is that our customers they track applicant statuses in our platform with notes, they schedule interviews, they configure their geolocation, they are managing this whole diverse kind of set of screening criteria. All of this is happening on the management side of our platform. And so we're collecting the data that hiring managers and recruiters are actually inputting into Augusta themselves. So there's that. And then in addition, we're also integrated with companies like Well Sky, Access Care, Generations, Indeed, of course, Google for Jobs, a whole bunch of different integrations where in a lot of cases, or in other ATS companies as well, we pull back a lot of data from those systems as well. So it's either that an HR team is manually entering information in Augusta or we're pulling it back from another system that they're using. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. The last thing I wanted to mention before getting into the actual data itself is that this little, I guess, a note here about interpreting the data. So we are highlighting trends, right? This report encompassed 110,000 applicants, almost 25,000 auto-scheduled interviews through our system. And we're just highlighting trends, but your agency, it may vary for very valid different reasons. Your service area may be very unique and compared to others. You may have specialties, you may have really specific goals for the types of people that you're recruiting. So all of that changes an individual agency's results in comparison to the hiring trends that we're tracking. So with that, I want to get into the very first data point here, which is, as I mentioned in the agenda, basically applicants by source, and then hires by source, and then basically a summary of top sources by conversion rate. So first up here, applicant source trends. What this is showing is that in Q4, in the purple, 66% of applicants were sourced from Indeed, 17.4 from our customers' websites, 2.9 from Craigslist, 1.8 from Google. Google is also a part of the website numbers, by the way, but we pulled them out because a lot of people ask about it. And Facebook, 2.5% of applicants. What we're measuring here, by the way, is the first conversion point. So you'll see this note down at the bottom, first conversion point. It means did they basically convert to an applicant from clicking on an Indeed ad, or did they convert to an applicant from clicking on a button on your website or from Google search, for example? Any questions about that? Thoughts, comments? No? All right, so that was applicants by source, and now this is hires by source. So in Q4, 59% of hires were sourced from Indeed as the first conversion source. 31%, they're almost 32% from our customers' websites, 2.8% from Craigslist, 2.4% from Google, 2% from Facebook. So one comment I want to make here is what we put in the key takeaway, which is basically that these graphs are showing the relative percentage of distribution of applicants and hires by channel, not the total numbers. So I'm going to go back here for just one second. So on this chart here, some people may notice a big difference between the percentage of applicants that were sourced from our customers' websites, Q4 versus Q3. That's a moderate difference there. What actually happened in Q4 is that the absolute number of applicants from Indeed went up significantly. The absolute number of applicants from our customers' websites was relatively static. It didn't change a ton. So it's less that there was fewer percentage. So it's basically the percentage is lower as a result of the absolute number of Indeed applicants being significantly higher than it was in Q3. Can I clarify that to anybody? No? All right. So even still, basically, the summary here of what we're seeing, and also I won't go into it right now, but if you'd like, anybody who's curious about it, happy to share a new integration program that we started, where we basically got chosen for with Indeed.com, and that is definitely having an impact on the volume of applicants that our customers are getting from Indeed. Um, so I won't go too much into it, but there's a little note about it in the report. Happy to talk about it later. Okay, so here's the summary. Basically, when you're thinking about, I saw a lot of people obviously said that they that they're struggling with not enough qualified applicants. They have a lot of applicants, but not enough are high quality. And then there was a good amount that also said they had not enough applicants, period. Um, so I think this slide helps kind of summarize what some of the data around how you might want to decide what to do next. Um, so first off, Indeed, as it was last quarter and as it continues to be, is the top job board. They have the highest volume of caregiver applicants. Um, so 66% of applicants and 59% of hires. So a lot of applicants, a lot of hires. It's worth investing in. And I know I talk to a lot of people and they feel like, oh, we're all investing in the same or trying to draw from the same pond. Yeah, that is true. But what we've seen is that there's so many, your process makes a big difference in terms of how you capture that and how you convert all those leads to actual new employees. Um, so I wouldn't discount it because other people are using it. I would say actually that's a reason to use it, if anything else, because we know for sure they have a lot of volume and are getting a lot of hires for our customers. Next up is your website. What we know for sure is that investing in your website, we've seen it quarter over quarter now. Investing in your website does get you ROI. So it's this quarter, like I said, out of all of our total number of applicants, it was only 17% of applicants, but 31% of hires. So in comparison to Indeed, it has a lot lower volume, but it's extremely high converting. Probably your best conversion source, really, except for maybe referrals from current employees. So both of those are definitely worth investing in and optimizing for caregiver applicants. Then down below, we wanted to highlight a few other sources that people either ask us about pretty frequently or that we noticed in the data have really strong conversion rates. And they are very low volume in comparison. But I think strong converting sources are probably worth at least at a minimum testing in your business and probably potentially worth investing in as well. So first up is care.com. It's surprising because obviously it's a site for an independent caregiver to find a job with a family directly, right? But it turns out that our customers are actually getting strong conversion from recruiting there. Um, AidQuest is a tool that's used on your website. So once you've got a tool to a process to get more and more people to your website, AidQuest is a human-driven chat tool that can help convert even more of that traffic. So relatively low volume, as you can see, but high conversion. And then last but not least, on this page here, the offline events. That is something that I think a really well-rounded and like holistic recruiting process has a lot of that going on where you're in the community, you're putting flyers up in the church or community center, bagel shop, laundromat, all the local places, partnerships with schools, career fairs, all that good stuff. Low volume, very high conversion. So it is worth it. You just have to do out your own ROI on it to see exactly how much you want to do. And then actually, I said last, but there's really one more last here. Um, so the other top converting sources that you really need to think about are Craigslist and Facebook. So you can see Craigslist 2.9% of applicants and 2.8% of hires. That's really great conversion. And same thing with Facebook, 2.5% of applicants and about 2% of hires. So again, not conversion isn't quite as strong, but still really solid, you know. Especially when you think about the cost of those other options in comparison to buying big spending a lot on job boards. So yeah, that's any other questions, thoughts, comments on applicants by source and hires by source to help understand conversion? Oh, okay, there's a question in here. Um, Okay, so one person, Stephanie, wants to know how do we better use Facebook groups? We've been advised to optimize this source, but we don't find any groups that will allow us to post of this nature. We already created Canva documents using two different templates. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, actually, after this, Stephanie, I have some resources that I can send to you. I believe you're a current client, so nice to see you or hear from you. So yeah, I have a couple of resources on Facebook groups that I can share. And yeah, it is a little bit service area dependent about like which like every city has different Facebook groups um that are active. And so you may have to spend a little time digging to find them. So yeah, I can share some resources about that. And it's awesome that you've already created some flyers going out in the community and posting them out there. So that's great. By the way, what Stephanie was referring to is basically on Facebook, there's more than one option for how to get applicants out of it. There's paid ads, of course. You can go through the Meta uh, ad studio, I forget what it's called, and actually spend on paid advertising. Then there are groups of caregivers that are on Facebook where it's just a local community group of people looking for work. And you can post in there for free. You can also post obviously on your personal page or your company page. And it's a pretty low effort activity for how much ROI you can get out of it. Um, cool. Let me. Okay, looks like Melody wants that Facebook info also, and so does Leslie. So awesome. We will get that over to you. Jessica wants to know how often should a Facebook post be updated? I guess if you're just posting from your personal account or your company account or in one of these groups, Well, actually, those are all, they all kind of have different best practices. So if you're posting from your personal account, I mean, generally speaking, more high quality content is favored in the Facebook algorithm. So like if you're posting pictures of team members that look happy with a client and videos of about your agency, like that's super high quality content that Facebook's algorithm would probably reward you for, like if you're just posting for free from your own account or even from your company account. Um, and so I would say more is better as long as it's still like high quality material that you're posting, basically like not just, hey, come work with us, like, but it's more so like about the culture of the company and about why you guys are a great employer and really selling the company would do like with people and images and pictures and or video does the absolute best. So if you're doing that type of content, you can do a lot of it. You can post as much as you want. If you're posting in a group, a free group on Facebook, then the group usually has posting rules. So when you go to join the group, you'll be able to read what the rules are for the that group about how often you can post and what you can post. If you're doing paid ads, now that's a whole separate thing. And we do have some I think a support article on paid ads with a video, if I remember correctly, that my partner Sam made. So I can dig that out after this. But with Facebook ads, it's a much deeper thing. I won't get into it today, but I'm happy to follow up with you after. Um, okay, so I'm going to keep going now into more data here so we can make it through. All right, so next up, everybody today out there in the market says you need to be fast to hire, right? That's like, uh, I think everybody on this call has probably heard that from somebody at some point. You have to be so fast to capture people. And we are basically, the data that we're sharing here essentially is telling you exactly how fast you need to be from the point of application to interview. So it is a trend, right? So there may be different reasons why your agency varies from this, but what we can tell you is basically that in Q4, 59.3% of hires were made when they were interviewed in less than 4 days. 19.1% of hires were made when they were interviewed in less than 6 days or between 4 and 6 days. So if you're thinking about how to organize your business around recruiting, you basically need to have things systematized enough where you can make sure that you interview your top applicants within definitely 6 days and hopefully only 4 days. And I mentioned at the top, but the way we get this information is that our customers, our software, their smart application, it automatically identifies the top 30%. And if they are a qualified applicant, we'll auto schedule that applicant for their first interview. So that's the system by which anybody who's a client on this call is probably using to achieve that less than 4 day mark. But if you're not a client, that's how it works for our customers. Okay. Any questions on that, on the time to interview? Okay, great. All right, so moving on here. So the next piece of data that we wanted to share as a part of the TLDR is what percentage, basically, which interview format, um, uh, what the percentage of hires is by interview format. So, like I said, our customers use Augusta to identify the top 30%, auto schedule the first interview with the applicant. And this is measuring basically out of those auto scheduled first interviews, our customers can use any format they want. They can auto schedule an in-person interview, a phone interview, or a video interview, all with our platform. And basically, what we found is that 54.6% of hires in Q4 were made when their first interview was an in-person interview. 32% was a first video interview, and then 13.4% was a first phone interview. Um, so let me pause here. Questions, because this one's kind of an interesting one. I've already had questions from via email about this. I guess what I would say is that just to kind of couch this information a little bit, that this there may be very good, totally valid reasons why, even though it's a lower, higher rate, that you start with either a phone or a video interview. Like, I don't want to necessarily say that you shouldn't ever use those formats as a first interview, um, because I think there's totally reasonable use cases that we've seen. They're like a really small agency who's just starting out in the business. What we've seen is they tend to really index on quality of hires. They really want to do everything they can to make sure they've got a super solid, like multi-step recruiting process. So that way they weed out the bad candidates and they get the highest retention that they can. And we see a lot of companies who are just starting out using a phone and a video interview as their first step. We see a lot of companies who don't have a physical office yet, or don't plan to have a video interview as the first step. That's just logical, right? Um, and then last but not least, what I'm going to say about the in-person interview is that if you're a customer of ours, you already know this, but if you're not a customer, even though we're auto scheduling an in-person interview, our customers don't wait for that time to just hope that the person shows up. We believe that the auto scheduled interview, it's a leading indicator that this is a motivated candidate. They really thought about coming to visit with you and they would like to. But for the most part, they're still a stranger from the internet and need to be recruited. So all that to say, basically, our customers who are using our system to auto schedule in-person interviews, they still call those applicants before their scheduled interview. They put in the effort to really recruit them and sell them on the company, and make sure they're really qualified before they actually show up in person. So even though this is the first auto-scheduled appointment type, it doesn't mean it's the only communication that the agency is having with the applicant, before that real interview time. So I saw a bunch of questions going to come in, or just coming in right now. So I'm going to pause my spiel. Um, Melody is wondering if we have any takeaway on the quality of hires from virtual versus in person. The quality of new hire is down, and we now do lots of virtual. I'm wondering if that's the issue with the quality we are hiring. Hmm. No. Yvonne, do you have any thoughts about that?
I mean, I don't think there's any right and wrong. It really depends on your service area, and whether how much you value seeing them in person as soon as possible. We've heard from customers that say that if they come into my office and they show up, um, it's a very strong sign that they're really interested, and I can show them the office. They can meet the scheduler. They can meet more people in the office. We see a higher conversion rate for in person for those reasons. That being said, a lot of agencies want to meet them in video first because they want to vet them first. So, and there might be good reasons for that. But it does add an extra step. It does add more time. It does take more slots in your schedule. Whereas if you have someone coming right away to in person and you like them, you offer them a job on the spot, it takes one slot on your calendar. Uh, but there's a trade off then that also, if they don't show up, it might be more painful. Or if the wrong person shows up, for whatever reason, it might be more painful too. But so it's trade-offs. I think it's harder to execute on in person directly, but if you can make it happen, we've seen better hiring outcomes in general. It's not always true, but in general.
Mhm. Yeah, trends. Yeah. That was a good question. Thanks, Melody. Okay. Gada is wondering, do you recommend video before an in-person interview to make the process more successful? So I think, yeah, that's a little bit of what Yvonne was just referencing, where it's like there are reasons why you would want to do a phone or a video interview first. And I think it's for what you kind of implied, Gada, that it's like really trying to index very high on quality, right? So it would make sense that like if you put them through two different steps to do a video and then a person in-person interview, that it would weed out more low quality applicants. That it totally is. It's very logical. So I think that there is a like that depending on your service area and your agency, like that could be a good option still. But just going back to what Yvonne said, it's doing in-person interviews all the time. It takes more time, literally, to do it, and it's a little bit harder to execute for a variety of reasons. But it does help the hiring volume. So this isn't what we're not measuring with this stat here is quality, really. But we are measuring like volume of people who are actually hired. It's literally a bigger investment for you and for the applicant to show up in person. So, like, it makes sense that you would hire more because you're both already quite invested.
One thing I want to add is there's a lot of variables that affect quality. We don't have that data to compare the quality of first in person or first video, and it must vary a lot per agency. It also depends on your hiring process, what kind of question you ask them, and so on, and so on. So it's hard to really have an opinion on that. Um, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, what for sure we can take away from this is that more hires are made from that first in-person interview. But I, it's not the ultimate measure of quality necessarily. So. Jody says hi Jody. We've recently switched to first interview is video, and then we have a second video interview with the intent on scheduling training orientation. Oh, that's interesting. Um, I guess I'm curious. I don't know how long ago you made that switch, but I'd be curious about how it's going. Um, then Melody is wondering, do you think there's a higher percentage of hiring for in-person is based on that's what most offices do, so that's why the number is higher. That also is certainly a factor in this data that like it could be that literally that more of our customers are using auto scheduling to in-person interviews. And that would absolutely affect these numbers for sure. Um, yeah, it's a good point. Um, Yeah, I mean, basically we're showing a trend. Yeah, but it's certainly influenced by what our customers' own decisions are. I mean, the other thing about this is that, and this is very different from any other hiring software out there, really, is that like our and so if you're a customer, you probably know this, but if you're not a customer, you wouldn't have this background or context. Our software can be used to schedule different types of interviews based on the quality of the candidate. So, and part of the quality measure is that we have geo qualification, and we can do that in a couple different ways. We can either use a point on the map or multiple points on the map, or the zip codes of your service area to basically determine how qualified an applicant is based on their location in proximity to your office and your service area. So that's one of the measures of quality. So our system basically can be set if you want it to where the applicants who are qualified and live in one of your qualified zones for hiring are auto scheduled to an in-person interview versus applicants who are a lower quality for whatever reason, could be their location or other reasons, are auto scheduled to a video interview. So that would definitely also impact the numbers here is that like if depending on how many of our customers are doing that, like interview branching, and people who are lower quality in general are starting with a video interview, that would also affect these numbers as well. So literally a candidate in our system that's called a needs further review candidate, potentially going to a video interview first means that they could have already been lower quality for some other reason that we already knew about, but they were given a shorter interview type on purpose to try and maximize efficiency. Um, so there's that also kind of related to what you were saying, Melody, um, which would affect the numbers here. But I think, I mean, over the last 2 quarters, I would say, I mean, my sense, and feel free to correct me if you think I'm wrong, Yvonne, but my sense is that this is a big enough sample size now, a couple 100,000 people, where I think we are seeing a trend that more, I'd say, generally speaking, volume of hires is made a little bit more from in-person interviews, but volume isn't always necessarily the right thing for every agency. You may be indexing higher in quality.
Well, yeah, it's not a correction. I would say we're not saying the in-person is less quality.
Yeah,
We're just saying that there's more volume. It might be higher quality for some agencies, so we don't know.
that's true. Yeah, this is not a measure of quality, basically. Yeah, that's a better way to say it. Thank you. Okay. All right. So, hires by distance to center of service area. So, like I just described, one of the things that our software helps qualify candidates on, helps identify who is a qualified candidate for your agency, is based on their location in proximity to either your office or different points on the map in your service area that you've given us, um, or the zip codes of your service area. So we grade their location using this geoqualification system. So I'm just going to use your office as an example, just to make it simple. So let's say there's your office is the main point on the map that you're hiring from. Our geoqualification basically allows you to draw a qualified zone around that point and then an okay zone around that point. So it's a qualified and then needs further review, concentric radius. So it could be that each agency each agency sets their own um, mileage basically of how far from each point is considered qualified, and then how far from that point is considered and needs further review. So what this is measuring is basically the hires by the distance to the center of each service area that our customers are using. So what this is showing is that in Q4, basically 76% of hires were made when they were less than 20 miles from the center of different points on the map that our customers had given us. Often that is the agency office, but in a lot of cases, it could also be other points. So, like the office, and then there's this other city in the service area that we have to capture as well because it's closer to where our clients live, for example. Um, so, yeah, let me pause. Questions so far? Okay. So I think the takeaway here for us, and I mean, feel free to chime in, Yvonne, um, but there may be reasons why you need to hire applicants who are further out in from your service area. You may have a very rural service area, and so 30 miles to you is not the same as 30 miles to somebody who lives in the center of LA, right? So there's totally reasons why you could have a bigger radius of hiring. But what we're seeing, the trend is basically that the closer they are to the points that you know that they need to live, the more likely you are to hire them. And I mean, it makes sense, right? It's very logical. But I think it's important to think about when you're thinking about when when like I out of a lot of the people who joined the webinar today said they were suffering from uh, app too many low quality applicants. Um, this is one of those factors that is really, really meaningful in whether or not you're going to hire somebody. And so is if you can basically weed out candidates who are not your ideal match right now based on the clients that you have and the clients that you'll likely have soon, to focus on just the people who live within probably about 20 miles from each of the points on your service area. That's going to save you a lot of time, so that way you can then focus on other things that are less easy to measure about the candidate. Any other questions, thoughts, comments? Feel free to chat them in. To move on. Okay, so this is what we're measuring here is basically applicants or caregiver applicant experience level by percentage of hires. So, if you're not familiar with Augusta, one of the questions that we ask in the Smart application to every applicant every time is what their experience is with either older adults or people with developmental disabilities or whatever type of customer we have. It's basically an experience related question where we give the applicant four options. They're either brand new to the industry, never been a caregiver before, they've cared for friends and family, they've worked at a home care agency, or they've worked at some type of facility. Those are the four options that we give to applicants. And what this is basically showing is that about almost 56% of applicants today who ended up turning into hires were basically on the lower end of the spectrum. So either were brand new to caregiving or had experience caring for friends and family, but not one of those professional experience categories. Um, I think to me, what this means is that, there's still a lot of people who are brand new to this industry who really want to join, but they probably don't know a lot of the basic stuff that you like or know like the back of your hand now. Like, one of the things that we try and do with the Smart application is help them understand what personal care is. We give them a little bit of a definition as they're applying. But like that's the type of thing that would be really helpful for your recruiter to make sure that they're going over in the interview process if the person is new to the industry, making sure they really understand what personal care is. Because we see get that feedback a lot from people that they hired somebody who was new to the industry, and then it wasn't until they got to the first shift that they really understood what personal care was, and they had to help somebody to the toilet and then change their perspective of whether or not they want to do this work. So it's just basically important information for you guys to know about who probably the most likely person is that your recruiter's talking to. Still 44% of people had hires have professional experience, which is awesome, but there's a bigger percentage that are really new to the industry. So need more hand holding, probably. Okay. All right. So the next question, this is one that people ask a lot, is there a better time of day or day of the week to hire than others? So what we're showing on the top of the screen here is basically hires by day of the week. And then below that, hires by time of day. Oh, no, sorry, interviews. Oh my gosh, not hires, interviews. My apologies. So interviews by day of the week and interviews by time of day. Um, so what you can see, one difference from last quarter is last quarter we didn't measure the weekends, but we noticed that more and more people are doing that. So we started to measure the basically interviews that are happening on the weekends. Um, and interestingly, this is a little bit different from last quarter. Last quarter, Mondays were low, which kind of made sense. I think it's just like Mondays are hard, you know. But this quarter, it looks like Thursdays are actually a lower day for completing interviews. And Yvonne, we were talking about it yesterday, and now I can't remember what our theory was that we came up with, but it was a surprising data to even to us that that Thursday seemed to be lower. So, um, and then on time of the day, um, Yvonne, did you have something that you wanted to share on?
Yeah, this is also factoring when recruiters are available
Oh, right.
in their calendar.
Yeah.
For example, it's not in the data shown here, but like 4 p.m. has actually a quite good show up rate, although now it has only 8% of interviews. It has a better show up rate than 3 p.m., but fewer recruiters are available at 4 p.m. for interviews. So in a way, there's like an opportunity here where if you're available at 4 p.m., you may have a good number of interviews.
Good point. Thank you. That actually, when we were talking about this yesterday, that's what I couldn't remember just now. So it is possible that part of this data is just influenced by the team, whoever's doing the interviews, not being available as much on Thursdays, for example. So that's a possible explanation. But either way, it's just a data point from last quarter. I think the um, uh, yeah, so I guess I don't have anything else to share on that, but I do see that there's some questions, so I'm gonna go over there. Susan is wondering, what about day of the week and time of the day for people applying? That is a good question. We don't have that in this report, but that's a good one to circle around for next quarter. Thank you. Yvonne, you don't happen to know that, do you?
No,
Me neither.
that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah. I mean, anecdotally, this is not based on data. This is just anecdotally. I mean, I regularly hear that a lot of caregivers apply on the weekends. But that's just anecdotal. So, um, Michelle is wondering, we try to complete our orientations on Thursdays and don't interview that day. So that's just a little bit of validation in our theory that people are less available because they're doing something else on Thursdays, for example. Um, so thanks for that, Michelle. Any other questions or thoughts on this? Okay, righty. Okay, last but not least, my one more data point here for you. I'm gonna move my video around. Okay, so on the left-hand side, so let me back up just a little bit. If you're not an Augusta customer, one of the things that our software does is it helps you advertise your top benefits. So, like when somebody is applying for your agency, they're able to see here's the top reasons why you think that they should work with you. And the agency is the one who controls what they're showing, obviously. And then on the SMART application, one of the questions that we ask each applicant is to rank order these five benefit options as their top. So we ask them, which is your top benefit that you're looking for, and then they have to choose one. So we're making them force rank or force choose their top one. They can't choose multiple. Um, so on the left, what we're seeing is that 71, almost 72% of agencies are offering flexible schedules, and 56.35% of caregivers want flexible hours. This has been these two data points have been nearly the same since we started measuring this, even before the benchmark report. We were measuring it on like kind of a more internal quarterly basis. And it has been consistent pretty much the time since we started this company and been asking these questions, essentially, that agencies keep saying that they're offering flexible schedules and caregivers keep saying that they want flexible hours. So what we think is going on, and a lot of people I think have kind of hit on this already, like just I've heard about it in the zeitgeist of home care, if you will. that there's really a misalignment between what agencies are offering and what they call flexible schedules and what caregivers call a flexible schedule. Um, there's that's our kind of assessment of what's going on related to that. And there's a lot of different ways that you can approach that problem. You can obviously get more and more clear about what you mean in your advertising. You can also look for other benefits to advertise that are perhaps underrepresented, but still very important. A lot of other options, but those would be two great ideas about how to tackle this like kind of fundamental mismatch that's going on. Um, my assessment from having been a caregiver and working with caregivers, or my co-founder Sam is still a family caregiver to his 100-year-old great grandmother. Um, my assessment is basically that caregivers they want the ability to go get the total correct amount of hours that they need and be able to be the primary caregiver to their family at home. And that's where this kind of rub comes in, is that if they tell you that to make ends meet, they need 35 hours, or they're already working with one agency for 20 hours and they need another 20 from you, like that is kind of part of the flexibility that they mean. And then as we know, just statistically in general, like the average caregiver in the US is the primary caregiver at home, often a single parent. And so when their kid calls out at school, like they're the one, right? They got to go deal with it and pick up their kids. And so those types of things also create a need for flexible hours. So I guess it's less that I think what I've heard is that like a lot of agencies talk about having the impression that caregivers just want to work whenever they can. But from what we see, I think it's a little bit more about getting the total number of hours they need to make ends meet and within their like general life, essentially. Um, Whereas with agencies, what we see a lot of times is I've heard, and this is not true of every agency out there, of course. There's a lot of good reasons why you would offer like throw this benefit out there. But like some people, when they say at an agency, they say flexible schedule, they mean part-time or full-time. Like it's a different definition than what the caregiver means. So, like I said, that's what we think is going on out there, but there's different ways that you can handle this problem. You can get more and more clear about what you mean, and then also totally worth kind of investing in underrepresented benefits that your caregivers want. Like number two benefit that caregivers want is an easy commute. It's pretty much tied with health benefits, but easy commute is not something that really anybody's really advertising in a meaningful way right now. And it's almost like something that like I know people write in their job descriptions and things like that. We'll try and pair you with a client near you, that type of thing. But if you can get more and more clear on that point with caregivers, that will probably help you capture more because it's something that people clearly want. So, any questions on this? Thoughts, comments? Okay. Alrighty. So, that is our whole TLDR on the report. So if you are not, well, of course, if I said that I would follow up with you, I will do that this week. And we'll have a recording of this up on our website in a couple days here. And if you're not currently a client of ours and would like to get a consultation on your recruiting process, please don't hesitate to contact us. It's a free consultation where we'll basically go over how you recruit today and see if we can help you uncover some of the reasons why things aren't going the way you want, and then can talk about Augusta if it makes sense at that point. So yeah, I would love to do that with anybody who would like to learn more about whether or not we can help them. So feel free to book an appointment online or give us a call. It was a pleasure talking with you this morning. I'm so grateful that you all showed up and that we got to learn a little bit about what your issues were. And I hope that this information was helpful. And I guess, oh, we've got one person who raised their hand here. So let me get to you. Gotta give me 1 second. Oh, Yvonne, did you raise your hand?
That was a mistake.
Oh, okay. I think I saw. Oh, it was a mistake. Got it. Okay. All right. Um, great to see you too, Leslie. Um, or hear from you. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Again, pleasure talking with everybody this morning. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and your questions, and I hope to talk with you again soon.